Hey everybody, it's Ms. Williams, and we are continuing our statistics unit, and we are doing data collection day 2. So we're going to have some more vocabulary words that we need to talk about. So what is the difference between a population and a sample? So a population is the entire group that you're interested in. All right. When you collect data over the entire group, you call that a parameter. So if you were to figure out the mean age of all the students at McGavock High School, if you took everyone's age, you would have a parameter because you've collected data over the entire group. Okay, but many times taking data on the entire group is not possible. So many times people just take samples, which is a small group that ideally is will represent the entire population. When you take data and you collect data from a smaller group, it's not called a parameter anymore, it's called a statistic. So you're going to need to know the difference between numbers, if they would be a parameter or if they would be a statistic. Okay, so what kind of numbers do we usually talk about? So we usually talk about two different kinds of numbers. We talk about proportions or percents. You know, 75% of the people say that they speed on a daily basis. Alright, so if I'm talking about the entire population, then that would be a parameter, and I would denote proportion or percent as a P. If I'm talking about just a small sample of people that I have questioned, then I would use, we call that P hat. Looks like a little hat on top of the P, but you do read that as P hat. Okay, another way that you can display your data, and you could take means or the average of something. All right, again, if you're talking about the population or it's a parameter, then you use mu, and we used that when we did normal distribution. Okay, but if you just take a small sample of people, then it's called X bar, and that's what you would use to represent mean. All right, so those symbols are going to be important. All right, a couple more vocabulary words: categorical versus quantitative. This is the kind of data that you collect. So if it's a categorical variable, it assigns a label to each individual that puts them into one of several groups. For example, male and female, or freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. That would be an example. Which group do you fall into? Okay. The other kind of data that you could collect is quantitative, and this has a numerical value that measures a characteristic of the individual. Maybe it's your height or your annual salary. Okay, you have to be careful though. Just because something is a number does not necessarily make it a quantitative data. Okay, only if it makes sense to take the average of the numbers would you call that quantitative data. For example, zip codes are numbers, but it would not make sense to take an average of 5 or 6 people's zip code. That wouldn't make any sense. All right, so that's the end of our slideshow. Another short video. We will be taking a quiz. Not next class period, but the next class period. All right, talk to you later.
Yeah, if you're not there.